Hey, have you been wanting to give us money in exchange for goods? Well, you're so lucky because now you can. We have re-released our They's Aliens merchandise in honor of the government telling us that there are aliens in order to distract us from whatever horrible evil they're causing in the world right now. Pick it up at wehaveconcernstore.com.
This is normal kid stuff. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Canada.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. Jeff, you may have heard that there's a loneliness epidemic out there.
I would, but I don't have anybody to talk to.
You may have opened an app that told you there was a loneliness epidemic out there.
Yeah, the apps, my window into the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
The apps are my friends now, and I listen to them and everything they tell me to do and everything they tell me to buy.
They tell me to buy so many things, though, Anthony. It's a lot. There's always something else to click on over here. You know?
Jeff, I am particularly susceptible to social media advertising. We know this about me.
Yeah?
We know this about me.
I love an Instagram ad. I don't care who knows it.
God,
I love an Instagram ad.
They've really, listen, it's wild that they can't show me any content that I enjoy because they can show me an ad that I like 9 times out of 10 perfectly.
Did I not know that exists, but now it's essential to my life? Thank you, Instagram.
Thank
you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. I am so susceptible to that shit. Once the algorithm like beep boop bops in at me, sometimes it'll show me things. I'll be like, why is it showing me that? And I'll find that a half hour later, I'm thinking about it. And I'll be like, actually, it was perfect that they showed me that. I can see why.
I'm not even being facetious. I genuinely like an Instagram ad. I want it. I know it's targeting me. I know it's scraping my data and listening to me. But guess what? I've gotten a lot of useful stuff because it knew exactly what I needed before I did.
Buddy, I get the best shirts. Any shirt I've worn recently, any article of clothing I've worn recently, and people are like, wow, that's pretty good. Where'd you get that? The answer is some fucking Instagram ad told me about it. I clicked on the Instagram ad. I looked at the product and what it was called. And then I went to Amazon and figured out what the real name of the product is called.
Yeah, the non-shitty version of the product. There's always a non-shitty version you can find.
Well, I believe that they are the same product, but one of them is just like a wholesaler that sells directly from usually like China onto Instagram or onto Amazon, and the other one is a drop shipping company run by a couple people who built a website and a fake brand and are selling the same product for a 300% markup.
Yeah, they buy it from that first party too, and they just sell it to you to pay for their Instagram ads.
Yeah, exactly. So not only do Instagram ads work on me, I'm willing to do the research.
Hey, and that, as we know, is the key to being a good interneter, is you do your own research.
I'm not willing to not buy. I'm not willing
to. I like to do? I like to complain loudly around my phone. Just so the Instagram ad has something to solve for me. Like, I'm so sick of tying my own shoes. And then I get an Instagram of the shoes that don't need to be tied.
Or one of those little clips like you give to kids that looks like a little alligator mouth.
I didn't know that. I wouldn't know to Google that. But the Instagram listens. Instagram is the only one that listens to me. I'm lonely.
The funniest thing about this, and this has nothing to do with the story that I have this week, but the funniest thing about this is the perception when you said, I know it's listening to me. I talk loudly into my phone. The pervasiveness of the idea that it's listening that way. Like I was talking to a friend about this and then I got an ad for it. Then my friend got an ad for it. Isn't that so weird? No, it's not weird. You and your friend were talking about it because you had been thinking about it earlier and you had looked it up and your two phones were in the same place using the same IP address. And so the advertising algorithm looked at those two devices, saw them as coming from the same place, and showed your friend an ad that had to do with the thing that you were talking about, not because you were talking about it, but because once those two devices share an IP address, they're seen as having the same ad preferences.
Yeah, but like my phone's listening to me.
Yeah, but your phone's probably listening to you. Have you ever, that's the wildest thing about my phone is listening to me is, have you ever turned on the microphone on your phone for any amount of time in any app and seen how quickly your battery like drains? If your phone was really listening to you all the time, your phone would have a 30-minute battery life.
The other thing is, I wish the Instagram advertiser phone listening to me technology was shared with, Siri. That would be nice.
Right. They put it in the advertising technology, but not in the vocal recognition technology that they make even more money off of.
It's baffling. It's baffling because that damn Siri doesn't hear anything I'm saying.
Siri's wild. And listen, for some of us, Siri's the only person we talk to all day. And so the fact that Siri is not getting it is a problem.
It's very frustrating.
But the loneliness epidemic is something that has been talked about, honestly, for years and years, but mostly started gaining media and widespread traction during, of course, the pandemic.
Right.
The pandemic drew it.
Alone. Everybody was alone.
Everybody was alone. But the pandemic drew into focus the idea that, because even after the pandemic, after the pandemic, as though people are not still dying. But after the lockdown portion, people found that they were still lonely. Right?
Yeah.
After the lockdown portion, people were like, hey, no, I thought, we would open things up and all of a sudden I'd be social and I'd be better. But it turns out like, no, we're less social than ever. It's not directly related to the pandemic. It's not directly related to any of that stuff. It's a very widespread thing that has to do with work and media consumption and the corporatization of public spaces and the removal of free public spaces for people to hang out in and all of this stuff.
Well, a lot of people lay it at the feet of technology, right? It is what you were saying about we're on our apps, right? So we're not talking to humans.
Sure. And listen, is that part of it? Yes. I'm not going to say we're not anti-app here and we're not anti-technology. We've talked a lot about this before. I do think that, yes, we are spending a lot more time on devices than we ever have. But at the same time, if you had done studies 30 years ago, they had the same problems with television or video games or things like that. One of my favorite things that I bring up whenever we do this is the picture of the 1930s and everybody on the New York subway and everybody's got their nose in a book or a newspaper. It's not like there was some magical social time when everybody was, playing patty cake and singing Kumbaya and doing fun group projects together on public transit. But I do think a major change has been more and more in society. The place where you go to socialize, or the only place where you interact with people, is work. Outside of work, people are working longer and longer hours. They're working more and more. Outside of work, more and more of the places that we go are commercialized places that cost money. If I walk outside my neighborhood, where am I going? I'm going to buy a coffee. I'm going to buy a snack. I'm going to, just to sit in a chair in public with someone costs money, and then there's all the stuff with transportation and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. But the loneliness epidemic is real. And one of the things that I think is really wild about this is people who want to look at facets of this without looking at root causes or large systemic causes and the strange bad studies that people do. There was a Gallup poll recently. I fucking hate Gallup polls. When we talk about Gallup polls, the average person, it's normally during what? It's during an election, right?
Yeah.
We think of the Gallup poll as like exit poll results, things like that. Or Gallup polls as like these weird things that influence election in weird ways because they ask and frame questions very strangely about candidates, like how would you feel if this candidate ate more snakes? Wait, the candidate's already eating snakes? No, we're just saying if the candidate ate more snakes, what if instead snakes children? What?
Yeah.
Just weird Gallup poll stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things that the Gallup poll did this week, and this is a big study that they just released, and I fucking hate it. Saying hello to your neighbors is linked to higher well-being.
Oh, hi, neighbor.
On the surface of that, that's nice, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Adults in the U.S. who regularly say hello to multiple people in their neighborhood have higher feelings and states of well-being than those who greet fewer or no neighbors. That's lovely. Because what is that? That plugs into exactly what we're talking about, Jeff. We're missing that social interaction. We don't know our neighbors anymore. We don't talk to people anymore, Jeff.
Yeah.
How many people do I know?
Silos.
Right.
Yeah.
We're in our little pods. I come out of my little pod and I walk from my little pod to the next little pod, or I get in my car and I drive to the work pod and then I drive home, and we just don't know people anymore, Jeff. But this Gallup poll says Americans' well-being score increases steadily by the number of neighbors greeted. From a well-being index.
Feel better, just greet a lot of motherfuckers.
Just the more you just say hello to your neighbors, they have a 51.5% well-being index for people who say hello to zero neighbors. That's not good. That's barely over half of well-being.
Yeah.
64.1. That's a lot more, right? For people who greet up to 6 neighbors. Now, beyond 6, that's a lot of neighbors. But beyond 6, it doesn't affect your well-being anymore. That's the most.
So you can tell the 7th neighbor to fuck right off.
And I do. I do. The first 6 people I see every morning, I wish them a great day. And then the 7th one, I say, I hope you get what you deserve, asshole.
You know what I like to do?
What's that?
I like to go out, count houses. And when I get to the 7th, I draw a little chalk line on the sidewalk. Yeah. So I know that's my Howdy Neighbor boundary.
Yep.
So like everybody past the line can fuck right off.
That's right.
The 6 people in my immediate vicinity, on the other side of the line, super polite. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, neighbor?
Chill. That's a chill line.
High fives even sometimes.
Please.
But not high sevens, because fuck those people.
Fuck those people. And we will say so, because they can't do anything for us. They cannot increase my well-being index.
No. What am I doing? I'm not going to increase somebody else's.
What are we doing here? So the Gallup National Health and Well-Being Index is a very large multi-poll sort of data collection thing from Gallup that's supposed to, rate the average well-being of Americans between 1 and 100 and decide and figure out what goes into that well-being. Now, the well-being index score for the nation, Jeff, comprises metrics affecting the overall well-being and each of the 5 essential elements of well-being. So not just your overall index. 5 essential elements. Number 1, career well-being. Do you like what you do every day? Does that feed your sense of well-being? Your social well-being. Do you have your meaningful friendships? Things like that.
Right.
Financial well-being. You manage your money well. Physical well-being. You have the energy to get things done.
Yeah.
Community well-being. You like where you live. Now, immediately, Jeff, I'm going to point out the way these 5 areas of well-being are described.
Determined? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Financial well-being is determined as you manage your money well. Already, I hate the language of this.
And why manage your money well, I think, is an attempt to not say you have money or don't have money. It is whatever you have or don't have is utilized in a way that doesn't create stress.
Sure, that's lovely. And we should know how to use our money well and manage our money well. But if we're trying to find an index of well-being and what is causing a feeling of well-being and happiness, with financial well-being, I don't think it's you manage your money well for most people. For financial well-being, it's like what you need to be asking is, does having more money make people happier? Yeah. That's the basic question, right? How much money do you make and how happy are you? What's your level of well-being?
My understanding was that was already solved in the study that was conducted by the notorious BIG.
The problems.
Yeah. In the infamous 1996 study, Mo Money, Mo Problems.
Now, I thought that was a statement of potential problems with the data gathering process. I thought Biggie Smalls was saying like, hey, we had more problems figuring out what happens with Mo Money because Delta for the changes was not relevant enough. But I could have been listening to it wrong. I also like, some of these other ones I'm mostly okay with the way they describe them. Physical well-being, you have the energy to get things done. I don't like. My physical well-being is not about getting things done. And my physical well-being should not be connected to the amount of things I get done. So I don't like that wording, but that's okay. At this point, you might say, Jeff, Anthony, you're poking holes in things.
Yeah, I always say that with the whole poking.
You're just trying to fuck around with shit. And listen, the Gallup people, they broke this data down, Jeff. They didn't just they didn't just say like overall well-being. They broke it down and see these meaningful categories that they've created. Saying hello to your neighbors. How does it affect each of these categories?
It looks like it helps all of them.
It helps literally all of them, Jeff. Just
if there's one thing that you can do to make every facet of your life better, including making more money, it's saying hi to your neighbors.
Just say hello to your neighbors up to 6.
Up to 6. Beyond that.
But you'll notice that if you move to like 7 to 8, sometimes your happiness goes down if you say hello to more neighbors. And that's why your chalk line makes sense.
Well, that's because, that's why my chalk line exists. But it also makes sense because it's like literally you got to do other stuff during your day. Yeah. At a certain point, you're just saying hi to neighbors all day. You're never going to get anything done. Well,
and listen, we're also not going to say that everybody's a good person. Saying hello to some of your neighbors might just cause problems.
Right.
There's one guy that maybe you just don't want to say hello to, and that's cool. We get it.
Yeah.
We all know that guy. Tom. Get fucked, Tom.
Get fucked. Hey, Tom. And then that's how I leave it. Yeah. I don't say hello at all. I don't say
hello. It's just like, oh, Tom. That's what I say.
Trim your hedges, Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Your tree is hanging over my side of the fence, Tom.
So here's the deal. They do say that all of this happens. Now, here's where things start getting a little weird, Jeff. Here's where the data starts getting a little interesting to me, though. Jeff, it turns out that greeting neighbors is more common among older, higher income adults. That's interesting. That's
Wait a minute. You're telling me that the saying hi is not the determining factor of wealth?
Well, now, Jeff, that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is saying hello is linked to a greater sense of well-being. Now, it just so happens that only older, higher income people are saying hello enough. And that's maybe the secret of their success.
Have you read the study that I put out just recently, actually, Anthony, that said owning a yacht is a high predictor of general maritime happiness?
That's right. Yacht owners know. Yacht owners are more happy. Yacht owners are more happy on the sea than other people when they're on the sea.
Do you want to be financially stable? Buy a yacht.
most financially stable people who live on the sea own yachts. As people get less financially stable, people who live on the sea don't live in yachts.
Look at the graph. Look at the graph.
We found a guy who was holding on to the mast of a ship that he said was cursed and that he had lost all of his friends. He was very unhappy.
X-axis.
No
people
yacht.
who own yachts. Y-axis. Happiness. Look at the graph.
Look at the graph, a dummy.
Do you want to be financially secure? Put all your money in a yacht. The graph speaks for itself. Why am I even talking?
I don't understand. Why do these people not understand numbers? The numbers are there. Data doesn't lie. So now young adults say hello to an average of 2.9 neighbors compared to 6.5 among those aged 65 or older.
Get it together, young people. Come on.
About 1 in 7 among those under 30 greet 6 or more neighbors, compared with 41%.
People under 30 don't want to be happy, Anthony.
That's all it is.
Is that what we're supposed to believe?
They just want to eat avocado toast and drink lattes and lie.
It's like they're not even buying yachts under 30. What are they even doing?
Now, they do say that having children under 18 in the household marginally improves the chances of greeting neighbors, as does having an annual household income of $120,000 or more. Now,
I hope they called this the Mr. Rogers study, by the way.
Yeah, right. So what they're saying, Jeff, is if you are the sort of person who lives in a neighborhood with a lot of old people and children and nice houses.
You say hi to people.
You say hello to people, and that's what's connected to your well-being.
Yeah, if you say hello to people, you're probably doing all right.
And these people who don't take time to say hello to their neighbors, who are doing so horribly on their well-being. I wonder what their income levels are and where they live and what their level of general safety feels like. Yeah. And, those sorts of things. But we don't need to talk about that. What we need to talk about is how all these old white happy people got there by waving to their neighbors, and they're waving to the right kind of neighbor. You know what I'm saying, Jeff? They live in a neighborhood where they get to wave to the right kind of neighbor, and that's what's important.
It sounds like if you want to live in a better neighborhood and make better money, be happier, you should just greet your neighbors. All that stuff comes from it. That's the point, is that if you desire happiness, there's one thing that you can do. I don't see the confusion.
Now, I will say that even on their scales, Jeff, it's not like the sense of well-being is going up a huge amount with the waving and the saying of hello. They're tacking it on to other well-being, to the other indexes and things for well-being. And buddy, the fact that they even released this on the fucking Gallup website as they're like, this is not some weird thing where like some other website ran with a strange angle on this study. This was them.
This is the people who did it, who funded it. This is
the Gallup Life Evaluation Index.
Yeah.
Now, what you want to be on the Gallup Life Evaluation Index is you want to be thriving.
Oh, of course.
They consider that good. The top of the index, Jeff, is thriving.
What's the bottom?
Suffering. I am not kidding.
Yeah. I want to thrive.
I'm not kidding.
I want to thrive so hard that my neighbors don't even want to say hi to me anymore. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I want to thrive so hard that they're suffering on the Cantrell self-anchoring striving scale.
You know what else is self-anchoring? My yacht! Self-anchoring, motherfucker!
Now, so they use the Cantrell self-anchoring striving scale. The Cantrell ladder is what they call it.
Yeah.
Now the Cantrell
ladder,
ladder,
by the way, my neighbor really needs to return my Cantrell ladder. He borrowed it last week.
to trim that hedge, and he has not trimmed the hedge.
Hasn't trimmed the hedge. Hasn't returned the Cantrell ladder. I am suffering.
Oof. I'm so sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry. Because over
He's
here,
at the top of the ladder.
I just said hello to 6 people. I'm thriving. All my problems are gone. So I want to say that the Cantrell self-anchoring strive scale, the Cantrell ladder, was not created by Gallup. The Cantrell ladder is an instrument that is used to measure people's attitudes towards their life. And it's a ladder with 11 steps. And basically,
first step is acceptance.
It's a self-reporting scale.
Yeah.
It's not, I will say this. It's not scientists going around looking at people's lives and deciding how well off they are. Although that would be very funny in a horrible way. If scientists just walked around and were just like following like if you volunteer for this well-being study, the scientists just follow you around with like a little clicker.
You're a 7 on the scale. You're a 7. A 7?
Yeah, you're like looking over the whole time, like you're doing things like you find $1 on the street, you look over to the scientists and they're like, yeah, good, bud, good. And then, you get into like a little argument with people or something, or you drop your ice cream cone and you look over at the scientists and they're just like, oh
man, click on the clipboard.
You're just going up and down the Cantrell ladder, and it's like you can't do it. At the end of the week, these scientists are going to tell you how you feel about your life. It's just like, that little voice inside your head that's like, man, I should have said something when that guy was rude to me in line. I should have stood up for myself. These scientists are that little voice, and they will tell you at the end of the week. They'll be like, well, we're going to give you a -3 points for not sticking up for yourself in the line that day.
Yeah.
We had to do it. I'm sorry. We looked at it. We looked at the situation and we were like, that guy would have been way better off. Would have felt better about himself, and other people would have felt better about being his friend if he had said something. Yeah. And you didn't. You just let that guy cut you in line. So that's a minus.
Wait, that counts?
Oh, it counts. You can, it definitely counts. But we are going to give you a plus for saying hello to that nice old person on the street.
Well, I was number 4. I got 2 more people to do.
That's right. So the Cantrell ladder has been used for a bunch of stuff,
I love the notion that the top is thriving, the bottom is suffering, but there's 9 other. They got to come up with names for 9 other levels. There's like.
They didn't really. They didn't really like.
What's one step above suffering? Like.
Here's the thing.
It's shitty, but it's not suffering.
There are only 3 categories that they use on the Cantrell scale, which is interesting. And I think that these were added later. So the Gallup they say the Gallup approach to reporting scale scores is to avoid arbitrarily combining scale points, but rather to use an empirical basis for doing so. Sure. So they utilize Gallup data from the World Poll, and then they put these things into their 3 categories. The 3 categories, Jeff, are thriving, as we talked about. Suffering is down at the bottom, and there's only one in the middle.
Thursday.
Do you know what they call the one in the middle?
Is it Thursday?
It feels like a Thursday. But what do you think if you were trying to create a good scale that divides this ladder of 11 points into 3s? Your top is thriving, your bottom is suffering. What's the middle? What would you call it if you could call it anything?
Keep on trucking. Yeah,
like you might call it fair. You might call it anything that's just kind of neutral. Neutral would be a great one. Jeff, it's struggling.
Whoa, you either struggle, suffer, or thrive?
At the bottom, you're suffering. Then you're struggling. Then you're thriving.
This is a dystopian fucking study is what this is.
It's just the story of Sisyphus, really. Like, if you could just get to the top, you'd be thriving. The problem is, well, you can't.
You can't. There's suffering, there's suffering, struggling, and then Elysium. If you get to Elysium,
that's it.
Then you can.
Those are the three. We think it's a fair system. We think it's good. There's nothing wrong with it. We think, listen, you're either in prison, you're on probation, or you are the king.
You rule like a god king.
That's it. Those are the three. And we don't see any problems with this. Do you see, you're seeing more and more.
There's drowning, there's treading water, and there's the fucking yacht with the self anchor, bro.
That's it, dude.
That's all you got.
Why do you not want to be in the good one? This is the other thing I hate about the about Gallup when they run these polls and release this data is they're always doing it with some sort of end in mind. And obviously, when you make everything but thriving sound horrible, people then want to be thriving. That's all they want. And then your criteria for thriving are the things that people go, oh, well, this is the way to be happy. This is it.
Yeah. Say hi to your neighbors.
Say hi to your neighbors and everything will be fine. So suffering is a well-being that is at high risk. Poor ratings of their current life situation, more likely to report lacking the basics of food and shelter, more likely to have physical pain, a lot of stress, worry, sadness, and anger, less access to health insurance and care, and more than double the disease burden in comparison to thriving respondents. You're going to say that this is how you categorize these people.
Yeah.
But saying hi adds 10 points on your fucking scale. Are you sure? Are you sure that if this person who is either in threat of being unhoused or unhoused has a disease, has a lot of worry, sadness, and anger, food insecurity, hey, bud, you'd feel 10% better about yourself if you just said hi to people in the morning. Hey, I'd feel 10% better if you fucked right off.
I like the idea of the person sitting there in the white lab coat with the clipboard. Somebody comes in next. All right, I just have a few questions for you. How are you doing? Oh, terrible.
Not well. I'm doing really badly.
Yeah. It says you're more susceptible to disease. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I'm not able to get exercise, and I haven't been because I work so much, but I don't have insurance, so I can't really get it checked out. And
yeah. So are you happy?
No. No, I'm very, very unhappy.
Yeah. I'm going to put you down as suffering.
Yes.
Really appreciate you coming in.
I'm suffering. What can I do?
Well, our data suggests that, did you literally say hi to anybody out in the lobby?
No.
Yeah, no. That's what we're finding is all the people who are suffering. They pretty much just trudge in here and trudge out without saying hi. It's on you is what I'm saying. It's on you.
Well, I always thought maybe it was. It's good to know. It's good to have the data. Thank you, doctor. Also,
don't make any contact with any of the people in the lobby as you leave because they're all also carrying disease.
Mm-hmm. And the ones that aren't are like really happy, and we don't want you to fuck them up. We don't want you to fuck them up by interacting with them. Struggling is well-being that is moderate or inconsistent. Moderate views of your present life. Struggling in the present or expect to struggle in the future. They report more
great
daily.
Now, but I expect to struggle at some point.
I always expect to struggle.
If you're thriving, you just never expect to struggle. You're just like, man, this easy street's going to last forever.
Well, yeah,
buy a second yacht.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. So the struggling people say they report more daily stress and worry about money and more than the thriving respondents and more than double the amount of sick days. They're more likely to smoke and less likely to eat healthy.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
there have been moments in my life when I have been thriving. I have never, ever in my life had a second where I didn't expect myself to struggle again at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Expecting to struggle, it is independent of thriving or suffering. I will always expect to struggle at some point.
Oh, expecting to struggle is on my family coat of arms. That's the Carboni family motto. Expecting to struggle.
Yeah, that's what my dad used to say to me as I left for school every day. Bye, son. Expect to struggle.
Yeah, and our coat of arms is a shield, and on that shield is that dog from the internet that got the bag stuck on its head.
Yeah,
and the owner's laughing at it because like the dog can breathe, but it can't get the bag off its head.
Expect to struggle.
Expect to struggle. Thriving people have positive views of their present life situation and positive views of the next 5 years. They report significantly fewer health problems. They take fewer sick days. They have less worry, stress, sadness, anger, and they have more happiness, enjoyment, interest, and respect. They're not saying anything about money. They're not saying anything about generational wealth.
Yeah, but I think the most important part is that they say hi to their neighbors.
Sure. Listen. Yes, you're correct. Yeah. But I do think it's an interesting correlation, and I'm not saying it's causation. I'm just saying it's an interesting correlation that these people who are happier and say hello to more of their neighbors tend to make more money and live in nicer areas because they have more money. I don't know. And they take less sick days because, fewer of them probably report that they are employees rather than employers. Could that
do you
be?
Take any sick days? No. My employees do all the time.
All the time.
Those
do you
people
take any
are
sick days?
Suffering.
Do you take any sick days? No, I'm retired and I'm loving it. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so I don't need to take sick days from now. I just hang out and I whittle mostly. What the fuck? What the actual fuck, man? I'm so livid at the presentation of data this way.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate when data comes out this way.
It really does feel like data for babies. It does feel like we had a really fun time coming up with this headline. And hey, they got us to talk about it, I guess.
Yeah. Look, here's the thing. When Gallup, when you go to their site, Gallup is mostly known for the political polls that we talk about. But when you go to their consulting expertise up at the very top of their site.
Yeah. It says, hi, neighbor.
It says, hi, neighbor. Here's what we're good at. Employee engagement, culture transformation, employee experience, customer centricity, organizational effectiveness.
You know what I hate is customers who stay on the periphery. I hate people who I hate when I have customers and they're all like hugging the walls at the edges.
Yeah.
I want them to be in the center. And if only there was some place I could go and pay money to get my customers in the center.
The problem I'm having with customers is that they think that if they stand perfectly still, I can't see them.
Right.
And so they'll just shimmy up against the wall and just stay perfectly still.
Yeah.
And it makes it very
hours at a time.
Very hard to help them with what they want. Yeah. So obviously, when you look at this, there's a reason that Gallup presents data the way that they do. They want to collect data for companies. And they want companies to give them their data to synthesize. But what they want to show to these companies is, don't worry, we'll find a way to make your data mean what it needs to mean.
Wow. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Doesn't that just really, you like to think that, oh, hey, Gallup polls are always cited by major news organizations during election cycles. It would be nice to think that those are the serious polls and this is kind of the frivolous, goofy poll. But I tend to think that this really undermines the legitimacy of any of their polls. Doesn't it just make you feel like, why do we trust any of the bullshit coming out of this place?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Is the weirdest thing about the Gallup poll, like things is the reason why news organizations love them is they don't just ask, who did you vote for? They ask like very, very interesting questions, like which candidate would you rather go have a beer with?
Right.
Which candidate would you feel that you could like have them hold your piggy bank for a minute while you ran out? Right. You know what I mean? Which candidate do you think is better with dogs? You know, all these things. And the reason why news organizations love them is because, number one, news organizations are not really much about news these days.
Gotta fill 24 hours of content, baby.
Exactly. And all data that comes with a story is better for these news organizations. And data that allows you to extrapolate things that have nothing to do with the data, right? So like, which candidate would you rather go out to lunch with presents the candidates in a specific way, right?
Well, that's what's so nefarious about this headline that prompted this story, is that it does tell a story, right? It has a built-in narrative. Saying hi to your neighbors makes you happier. Oh, that evokes a halcyon time of white picket fences and bringing over a casserole and little kids, you know, running through grassy front yards. It conjures all of this baggage that doesn't speak the entire, as we've dug into this, even the slightest bit, it belies an entire level of important information that just is ignored by the story that is conjured in your head.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so dangerous about it.
Yeah. I think, when you move things into stories of emotion and stories where people center themselves, particularly in political things and socioeconomic things, right? Like, it's easy to say, well, you know, America seems to be going downhill, and one of the reasons is people just don't know their neighbors anymore. Here's some data that proves it. Well, that doesn't help us. That may make people feel better because it reinforces a certain belief that they have, but it reinforces a nihilistic belief that they have, right? It's the same thing with some of these sort of political exit questions that we have. I may not want to get lunch with the most qualified and best political candidate, but by presenting the fact that of these two political candidates, one of them people really want to get lunch with, you look at it and you say, well, that's a good guy.
Right.
And so it leaves all this room to say things that data doesn't say. And that's why we, you know, on the show and everywhere really, but on the show, we really love to find the original paper that's cited by these stories that we report and be like, well, here's what it is. Because the headline doesn't always say what the data says. And what we're saying here, and what we're showing here is that people who are more economically well off and who are old and white in most cases feel better and feel more confident about themselves and their lives and their well-being and their safety, and feel better about their general community around them that looks like them and has the same amount of money that they do. And they feel more comfortable saying hello in the morning.
Right.
But that makes me sad. That makes me want to fix things in America.
But let me also just have something that I can just put in my little pocket and do, and that doesn't actually affect anything, but makes me feel like I can affect something.
And hey, and here's what I will say about this. I do like the idea of saying hello to more neighbors. I do like the idea of to a point, like within the chalk line, like maybe up to 6. But I do think, like, I live in a big monstrosity building. We've talked about this before, like 100 or something, over 100 units, and it's part of like this huge thing. And
yeah,
everybody just kind of like walks the elevator, silently goes down or whatever. But I've been here for a couple of years, and I've just noticed, like, when people say hi to me, I very cheerfully say hi back. When I say hello to people, they very cheerfully say hello to me. And it's like, oh, right. I don't live in a building full of quiet, sullen assholes. And I'm not a quiet, sullen asshole. So I do think, like, hey, a little social interaction is not bad.
Right.
And it's good to keep that in mind. But I don't think we can attribute 10 points of our well-being to it out of 100 saying hello.
It's such a weird thing.
Yeah. Social well-being, I'm willing to give, the 20 points on the scale that it deserves. But I don't think 10 of those come from saying hello.
Yeah, and both things can be true, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be nice if people said hi to each other more. That would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, study suggests,
and I should do
nice
it more.
To say hi to people.
Yeah, and when we say, like, hey, it would be nice if people said hi to people more, we're talking about ourselves. What I'm saying is, I should really just say hello more.
Yeah,
especially to people in the neighborhood that I see all the time. I know we know each other. I know we see each other all the time.
Yeah,
I might as well say hello.
I'm not going to invite them to my yacht.
No, God, no. My maritime happiness index is off the charts, and I can't fuck with that.
I'm too busy thriving over here and not expecting to struggle at any point. Sorry.
Listen, struggling on land, thriving at sea. Samuel Taylor Coleridge said that, and it's been ever true.
Dude, that's our next t-shirt.
Struggling on land, thriving at
sea. We got to get that in the store immediately.
Immediately before summer's over. We got to get it in there. By the way, if you were wondering, if you hadn't heard yet, the store is back up. We have concernstore.com. Currently we are showcasing our They's Aliens collection.
Yeah.
But
Studies show that if you get a They's Aliens hat or t-shirt, you'll be thriving in no time.
Absolutely thriving.
That's my understanding, is the people who are thriving tend to be wearing They's Aliens hats.
That's right. But the They's Aliens stuff will be leaving soon, and maybe it will be replaced by struggling on land, thriving at sea. Who knows?
I want that shirt so bad.
Here's the thing that I know, Jeff. The shirts that make us laugh the most are just for us.
That's true.
Are just for us. So who knows? But maybe we'll do it. Thank you all for listening. Remember to support on the Patreon if you can. For just $1 a month, you get access to our Discord, where you can talk to other people who are just thriving.
Just an amazing amalgamation of people saying hi to each other. They're digital neighbors. And we all know that once you say hi to your digital neighbors, you're thriving. You can be in there. You can be in there $1 a month.
Yeah.
It's easy peasy.
It's called living the secret. It's called, what do they call it when, shut up, I'm done.
It forward. You pay it forward. And by paying it forward, it means forwarding it to us.
It's what I was looking for was prosperity gospel.
That is what you were looking for.
If you give us $1, you will get the happiness tenfold.
Honestly, it's the only way we monetize this show. It's the only reason we get to keep making it, other than the They's Aliens hats, which are just thriving.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, if you get value out of the show, give us a little value in return. You'll get some value also with bonus content, extra episodes, the beginning little bits of the show that you only hear the end of. You can hear those. All you got to do is visit patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.